What if stocking your clinic's supply closet with your most popular compounded cream could actually cost you your medical license?
It's a scary thought, but it happens.
Yeah. Today we're doing a deep dive into the regulatory backbone of compounding pharmacy, looking at the clinical education frameworks from Compound Rx Academy, confusing the two main regulatory lanes, which are known as 503A and 503B facilities, is basically the #1 compliance trap for prescribers.
Oh, absolutely. It trips up so many people.
Right, so think of navigating this like food service, okay? 503A is your private chef making a custom meal for a specific dietary need, while 503B is more like a commercial caterer delivering bulk trays to feed the whole office.
That chef analogy is actually crucial because the 503A lane is entirely built around individual patient care. So to use a 503A pharmacy, you absolutely must provide a valid prescription for a specifically identified patient.
And there has to be a clinical reason for that custom order, right?
Yeah.
Like you're prescribing a unique vehicle, maybe a topical cream instead of a commercially available oral pill, or just a specific dosage that isn't on the market.
Exactly. The clinical need is really what legally justifies the custom compound in the first place. Because, these pharmacies are regulated primarily by state pharmacy board.
Okay, state boards, right?
Yeah, and their oversight is tied directly to that traditional triad, the doctor, the patient, and the pharmacist.
But wait, let's unpack this a bit. Let's say I'm running a really high volume med spa. I know for a fact I'm going to see, say, 20 patients this week who need the exact same compounded bioidentical hormone cream.
Sure, that happens all the time.
Right, so why can't I just have my trusted 503A chef, whip up a large batch for me to just keep in the supply closet? I mean, it saves everyone time.
Well, because legally, a 503A cannot dispense for office stock, period.
Wait, really? Not at all.
Not at all. They need a named patient on a script before they even mix a single drop of that cream. If you bypass that and, use them to stock your shelves, you are operating outside the law. Yeah, it's serious. You expose yourself, your patients, and honestly, the pharmacy itself to severe regulatory consequences. We're talking losing your license and facing massive audits.
Okay, so that leaves clinics with a pretty massive gap then.
Yeah.
Because if my 503A can't fulfill a bulk order without individual prescriptions, how do I legally stock my shelves with the compounds I'm using every single day?
Right. So that is exactly where the FDA's second lane steps in, and that's the 503B outsourcing facility.
Outsourcing, okay.
Yeah. So if 503As are private chefs, 503Bs are basically small-scale manufacturers. They are designed specifically to supply clinics with office stock, completely without needing those patient-specific scripts.
But if they aren't tracking medications to a specific patient's script, how do they ensure safety? I mean, you kind of lose that layer of individual oversight, don't you?
Well, they compensate for that through really rigorous FDA oversight. 503B facilities must adhere to CGMP standards.
Which stands for good manufacturing practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good manufacturing practice. And that means the safety and quality control, it must be baked into the bulk manufacturing process itself.
Much like a large pharmaceutical company would do.
Precisely. It's a completely different scale of operation.
Okay, but if they have these massive CGMP safety standards in place, why can't I just order whatever custom compound I want from them? Like, they clearly have the infrastructure to make it safely.
I mean, they do, but their operational menu is strictly capped by the FDA. So a 503B facility can only legally produce items that actually appear on the FDA's current drug shortage list.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, or their difficult to compound list. They aren't there to just replace custom compounding entirely. They really exist to mitigate critical supply gaps.
Let's ground this in a real-world scenario for a second. How does that FDA list actually impact a clinic's daily operations?
Well, look at the recent GLP-1 shortage, right? Specifically semaglutide. Because the commercial drug went onto the FDA shortage list, 503B compounders could legally step in.
Right, to fill that gap.
Exactly. They could manufacture it under those CGMP standards and supply it in bulk directly to clinics.
But what happens when the manufacturer actually catches up? Like when the shortage ends?
The absolute second the FDA decides that shortage is resolved and removes it from the list, 503B production of that drug must legally stop immediately.
Wow, just like that.
Yeah, providers really need to understand that this pipeline is not permanent. Access can vanish overnight.
See, this is where crossing these two distinct lanes causes absolute compliance nightmares.
Oh, it's a mess. The biggest errors really stem from prescribers assuming a compounding pharmacy is just a compounding pharmacy.
Right, like they're all doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, they might assume a 503A's state board license automatically means they meet FDA CGMP compliance, which is entirely false.
Or conversely, they probably make the mistake of sending a traditional single-patient prescription to a 503B facility.
Exactly. And going back to your caterer analogy, you wouldn't ask a commercial caterer who's cooking for 500 people to suddenly adjust a single plate for your specific peanut allergy.
Right, their operation just isn't built for individual customization at all.
That is the exact mechanical difference. 503A is strictly for the unique patient, requiring a specific script and a real clinical justification.
And 503B is for legally compliant office stock, governed by those rigorous FDA manufacturing standards and the shortage lists.
You nailed it. It's that simple, but getting it wrong is incredibly risky.
It really comes down to knowing whether your clinic's immediate need requires the private chef or the commercial caterer. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a critical question to mull over as you manage your practice.
It's a really important one to consider.
Definitely. We know 503B facilities live and die by the FDA's shortage lists. So as the FDA constantly monitors and updates those lists behind closed doors, how might a sudden overnight regulatory shift instantly cut off your clinic's supply of a medication you rely on every single day?
Something to think about for sure.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.